Welcome to Biggest Geekus. We're your hosts. I'm Randy.
And I'm Joe.
This is episode 57 of our podcast. The date is Tuesday, October 12th, 2021. What's new, my man?
We are up to 80 subscribers on YouTube.
Oh, on the tubes. Cool.
Yeah. No new subscribers for the contest, though.
Oh, hey. It's all right. I can roll a D13 or D11, D12. That's fine. It's their choice. They're missing out on the sweetness.
Yeah, you can subscribe on YouTube and not be in the running for the contest.
Yeah, which is a sweet Pathfinder X-Crawl game and D&D 5e Out of the Abyss, and then a sweet battle game called Inferno. So, hey, if you don't want it, that's fine. Someone else will. Anyway, this week, you didn't get any gaming in, did you, bud? Still family still under the weather?
No. Yeah. Jenny's still under the weather. So our schedule doesn't have gaming in mind at the moment.
Well, week really for us, it was Friday to Tuesday is all. We podcasted Friday last time, right? Yes,
we did.
Days running together, but definitely cooling off around here a little bit. So anyway, so we jump into the Outlands and look at we got some old email, you said. Came to our old address.
Right. Do you want to start with that or the call-ins?
Let's do the call-ins. Yeah.
Let's do the call-ins.
What our peeps have to say, then we'll pull up the emails.
All righty.
So, yeah, Joey's going to have some really ancient emails, so we'll see here.
From August is the
That's awesome, man.
It's ancient in internet terms, yes.
Right. Is that the first one right there you're pointing to?
Yeah, because the one before that is
Big John of last week.
Yeah.
Okay. Hit us.
Talking about Discord. Be careful, my man. You pop on, you have some games going on, you have some good conversation going on. You may end up getting addicted, just like podcasting. So I tease a little bit, but absolutely welcome. I put up a link on my blog in my little profile. Anybody who wants to come hang out with us over there is welcome. We have some hearty conversations talking about life, the universe, and RPGs, but don't always agree, but we try to always stay friends. So in any case, not kidding about the gaming. Discord is the place where I ran the one game that I got to run last month. Who knows? If you pop online, I may nag you into playing.
Sweet. So is that Clear Square Ring Mail Discord channel?
No, he's talking about Audio Dungeon.
Oh yeah, I signed up for that today, so I'm on now.
Okay.
I have to get in there.
And I invited Taylor over to Legion of Myth podcast. I mean, Discord. Their Discord. So.
Gotcha.
This is Taylor of Clearixware Ring Mail calling in again. Calling in about session 0. I can see how it would be useful if you're playing with folks you don't know. So, similar to safety tools at a con game, it's a good idea to kind of set expectations. Someone who comes in expecting a 5e game and you're running it like AD+D, that would help to know beforehand so that the pair don't waste each other's time. But one thing that I have against session 0 is time. When I was in college, we used to play all the time. But the way we managed it, girlfriends, wives, or sometimes even children would come along with the player and play with us. There were ways around sort of the family responsibility. I'm kind of in a place right now, and I will admit this is just me, where I've got 2 young children who are not D&D age. I've got a spouse, my wife, she's watched the games before, but we could never talk her into playing. So I don't have a lot of time to devote to gaming, and a handful of the folks that I know or who I gamed with in the past, they're in the same boat I am. We're in that same stage of life where you have the energy for it, but you just don't have the time. So for me, at least, doing a session 0, so establishing what you're playing, figuring out how the party's together, setting expectations, discussing house rules. If that can happen in a group text, or if that can happen in a group chat on your favorite IRC, that's ideal. So, because it's easy for someone in my shoes, it's easy for that person to find 5 minutes to check a text message. It's easy to find 3 minutes to respond to an instant message. But finding 2 to 4 hours, that's kind of rough. So knowing that, having that stuff done before, and taking that precious commodity that is consecutive multi-hour spans. Yep, that's why I don't do session 0s, at least not until the boys grow up.
I think that's honestly, I was thinking about that actually a while ago, Joe, that I did a lot with email. We played games where I would send you stuff via email and instant messenger. And so that's good enough. I mean, really for us, it's good enough. For us,
Well, it is for us.
Yeah.
And we've made that point before. And Taylor's just chiming in to say he agrees. Your check is in the mail.
Yeah. And he's him and Jason both got checks coming. Jason had one coming for a while.
Yeah.
I have a feeling the mail lost it. I think Joe lost it on purpose.
There's issues with mail distribution these days. You never
Right.
know. It could have got shredded even. You never know.
Oh my goodness.
We might have to reissue that check.
A 50-cent check. Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah. But yeah, time also is
Yes.
just
Good.
like Taylor said, it's a big stumbling block for modern day responsible adults who have families. If you're a single dude or dudette,
Mhm.
you might have a lot more time than someone who's married.
Yeah, and you think about getting, and as much as I do kind of like the idea less and less, but I used to like it a little more, the idea of session 0. But I don't want to invite you guys over and I spend half a session just talking about what we're going to play. And I think when we are heavy into 3X, everybody knew how to make characters really well and smoothly. I could put restrictions and say this much, if we're going to do higher level, this much gold to spend, or this kind of gear, this way you're going to make stats. You can choose from these books and off you go.
Oh yeah. Would love to be able to have like a regular long session. It's just difficult to arrange right now.
It is.
Talking about crowdfunding is, and that is Kickstarter, Indiegogo, HasLabs. Crowdfunding is just a way for games companies to do pre-orders. Same as video games. They'll sell a copy of the game before it's out and they say, oh, we will deliver it to you. Maybe some bonus content. That's what crowdfunding is. So really, when a company does that, it's a way to gauge interest. And I have zero problem with that personally, especially with small creators. Because if you think about it, they're printing X number of books. If they know they're going to get 10,000 people who are interested, boom, print 10,000 copies and you're gold. If you don't know, there's a risk involved. And moreover, you have to front the money. So if you don't have the money and you want to gauge the market, boom, crowdfund.
Yeah, I think anybody we know, our friends, Patrick and stuff, that want to, print a bunch of stuff or even see how much they want to, their next game is going to sell for. I think they have to crowdfund to have a good shot at printing it, because it's too risky otherwise. And granted, Hasbro and WotC, they could eat the cost, but take a chance. But why? Why would they bother? I mean, it is basically a pre-order system. I mean, people think that's what, it's not. That's what people think it is. So in good companies, it does work that way. Like I've said before, if you get something from Monty Cook Games, which I'm not a fan of, you're going to get it. And it's going to come out pretty fast, definitely on time. And you're going to be happy with you're going to get the stuff he told you he was going to get.
It's going to look nice.
Yeah. Pinnacle is now doing their superhero companion. They're doing that through their own page. They're doing their own crowdfunding.
Right.
I backed the next one and it was pretty sweet. I mean, it was, they're doing it and they're working it all themselves. And I think they're like you. They said, screw the middleman. We'll just do it ourselves.
Yeah.
They practiced enough. Pinnacle is phenomenal at running a Kickstarter. And you get plenty. You get your money's worth.
And they have in-house people there, or they can farm out the technical aspect of doing their own crowdfunding.
Yep.
Because it's not just like, putting up a website with, dog pictures. It's a little more,
Yeah,
it's a little more involved than that.
It really is. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thanks. Thanks, Taylor. Some good points. All right.
Uh-oh, Cypher. I made disparaging remarks about Cypher last
Who's
session.
calling? Is that Jason
It's
calling?
Jason. He's going to fuss. He's probably going to fuss at me.
You're going to get us.
Hey guys, as far as Cypher goes, I agree. I don't mind resource management, but I don't like the way that game does resource management. I don't like having to weaken my character to fire a burst out of a automatic weapon or to engage special powers, and I just don't like the resource management in Cypher at all. I also don't like other games do this as well, but I don't particularly like the idea of your experience, either use it to re-roll or get a better roll, or you use experience to level up. I like those kind of things to be separate. So that's just me. Excuse me. That's just me. So
Jason, it is not just you, my brother. I don't like that either.
I'm getting less and less fond of re-roll mechanics anyway.
Me too. I want things to be a little more roll. It's what happened. And then you got these, and especially the experience point thing. I thought, and I've only played once in the Strange you played, but I was like, well, I don't play Numeneric Gen Con, but we didn't get to level up. But the idea of leveling up where you have to burn these little experience points you get while you're playing, then you got to burn them, or you can use them to do cool stuff. So it's kind of hard to figure out, do I want to level up, or most people want to level up. So you probably won't use them to do cool things. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff about the Cypher I'm less than fond of.
as far as making Mudsword more gritty, so the idea of if you don't have magical healing, having to sit out the fight, if you've been out and you just get saved by somebody using conventional healing, I like that idea. Also, have you thought about the idea of scars and serious wounds? So basically the concept is when they roll them over, when somebody comes and saves them, at that point you effectively do a death save, right? And it would be, so this is going to be a little bit complicated. It'd be a couple messages, I guess. But the thing I've been thinking about recently is, so you do use a death save like on a D20, right? On the first time your character ever has a death save, from 1 to 5, they're dead. And then on 6 to 20, they're alive, but you have scars. And then I'll come back to scars here in a second. The second time you're rolled over, maybe 1 to 6, you're dead, right? You see where I'm going with this? So so you're going to be able to be rolled over, go down to 0 hit points so many times. And then how gritty you want that to be, you could adjust that progression. But eventually you're going to get to the point where, it's just too much. Now, as far as those scars go, you would have to take the time to make the table up. But I'm not talking about just a physical scar on the face, although you could do that, or that could be one of the options. But what I'm talking about more is serious long-term effects, like -1 or -2 to one of the attribute scores, right? So maybe a negative of the Constitution, a permanent negative of the Constitution, or permanent negative of the Strength, or permanent negative of the Dexterity. And then, whatever the reason for that scar is, the physical reason that stat's lowered.
That would be some serious, a serious effect on game.
Less so in old school.
Yeah.
But I mean, because you got that window. If you're playing OD+D, you got a big window. Keep your +1 for a long time.
Yeah. The less the stats matter in general, the longer this will be able to be played out without feeling it too bad.
But you could also do things like, finish. He's got another one. Scars.
Anyhow, you can see where I'm going with that. So, I mean, it wouldn't be anything too horrible, but the idea is, if you've been brought down to almost dead, there should be a long-term serious effect. And, if you want to make the game grittier, doing things like that, might give you that effect. So that'd kind of be my suggestion, to make the game grittier, have that rollover mechanic where they might be dead, they might not be. And if they're not dead, though, they're going to have some kind of permanent long-term effect, like a permanent negative to one of their attributes, or, you could figure out different things, obviously, right? It may be lost an eye, so now you're minus one to your initiative, minus one to whatever you do for perception checks, or, things like that, right? So there are different in-game effects you can do to show that character's body's breaking down through all this damage they take.
Or you could lose permanent hit points. I don't mean a lot, but if you've gone down 10 times, maybe you lose a D4 hit points. I mean, would make sense. You're sorely wounded. You're just not as tough as you once were. Maybe you get speed reduction. Instead of moving 30 feet, you move 25 now.
Sure.
That's possible with a limp. So
there's all kinds of statistical things you can do to mimic a disability of some kind.
But you have to watch. You have to watch what we call the death spiral, though.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we want. And injured characters can quickly become like, dude, I don't want to play this guy. Which, okay, maybe you shouldn't. Maybe you should.
Well,
retire.
Right. So if you really want a gritty game, that might be an option.
Mm-hmm.
Let's play this. He's got another 15 second here.
Oh, sorry.
Now, that might be much grittier than some people like, and much more than most players want to do. But I think that's an option too. So just a thought. Anyhow, enjoy the show and look forward to your next one.
Thank you, Jason.
Yeah, that was good. That's a good suggestion. It'd be fun to play test that. We need to see it over time, though.
Yeah.
But I am planning on leveling characters pretty rapidly so I can see the different levels. I've got to get busy. I think one of the things I want to do is separate. I want to have a file for each class, a file for each race, a general combat rule file. These will all eventually become an actual booklet, right? At some point. I've already got mechanic files for ideas I have for things like conditions, hit points, saving throw, different sorts of mechanics that are cool. That I'd like to steal. But if I was Greg D, that made the comment, he said, looking at it, it's like you've stolen all these pieces from all the editions of D&D that you liked. And I'm like, yeah. That's exactly what I've done. I kind of like the 3rd edition D20 roll high BAB approach.
Mm-hmm.
But I also like the saving throw from original D&D. Right now, I'm fairly enamored of the single saving throw. I may get tired of it. It may find that it's not varied enough for what I want. But right now, it seems to be doing the trick. So,
well, I was thinking about this. The way that their character's defenses are armor class, hit points, and saving throws.
Mm-hmm.
Do you necessarily need a bunch of things to describe conditions apart from armor class, saving throws, and hit points? Now, maybe you can throw movement in there. You can have a number of things. I wouldn't make it more than 5 or 6, and manage the character's combat and conditions through those. And instead of having a gigantic list of special abilities, you get a higher armor class, you get higher hit points, blah, blah, blah. That's all about it. Now, I'm not saying you don't get spells. And I'm not saying for wizards, I'm not saying you don't get certain things. But modern games throw in all kinds of nifty, sparkly, bright, special abilities that make the game bloated.
You're talking special abilities, when I say conditions, I'm talking about things like prone, paralyzed, petrified, charmed, exhausted.
Right. Well, all those things can be managed through a few things on the character.
They could.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, I played it last time. I liked the Dirty Fighter ability that the rogues got. And I like the advantage mechanic from 5e, but I don't want it to be everywhere under the sun. I do think there are times where it's actually pretty nifty. And it may be that my conditions list that I have is going to shrink. In fact, my guess is it's going to shrink because I'm going to just say, honestly, it's very elegant. That's the elegant part about 5e that I really like. Kind of like how from Pathfinder, I really loved CMB and CMD initially. I really like advantage, disadvantage. It's super simple. And, you know, you've been hit, you've been slashed, you get disadvantage. You know, it's not bad. I mean, you know, you can marry that with the grittier stuff that Jason's talking about. But
Right.
I'm with you. You're talking, we don't want to have a giant list. Like third edition brought in a giant list of conditions. 5e has a decent sized list, not as bad. And you had to see how all of them interacted. What if I'm exhausted and blinded? What if I'm prone and paralyzed? Or what, you know? So yeah.
Right.
Good.
And I was also thinking of a different way to conceive of first level characters. And to justify, like say the thief's very low, the base game, you know, the first edition, old D&D and all that, the thief and their very low starting abilities, you know, their special lock picking and all that stuff.
Right.
What if instead of thinking that the player characters graduated from some form of training that was fairly intensive, and instead it was more like a crash course, and they hit the highlights, and you followed a mentor around for a week, and even the wizard, because they only start with one spell.
Right. So reconceive the idea of training. So
instead of
and you can make a good point that a lot of thieves guilds, thieves masters and stuff, why do they want to make all these thieves that are super potentially even better than them, you know, thieves, rather than say, you know what, I would like to have really good skilled thieves in my guild. Let me see what you can do. Here's the highlights, you little roughneck dude. Stop doing this, do this. Now get out there and do it. Let me see what you got. Now later on, they might bring you back in for a little more specialized training, and then we could talk about special abilities.
Right.
You know, yeah, that's not a bad way to do it. Currently,
it's just a conception. It's not like a rule. It don't need a rule change, but the idea, the reason I thought about that was I have harped a little bit on why does the thief start out practically incapable of doing their job?
Yeah.
Well,
that's not the case in Mudsword, though.
No,
our
but
background skills are allowing the thief to do some stuff right from the beginning.
Right. But that is the case in older games. In the old conception of the game, they didn't really describe it that way, but you had very few fluff ways of conceptions of why does the thief come out with such low chances. Well, the fighter also doesn't come out with anything but a pile of hit points.
True.
Compared to the other classes.
Right.
They can't hit really any better unless their strength is high, and it has to be really high. In the old version of the game, it has to be what?
17.
Yeah.
+1 to hit.
Yeah. So
that's in AD&D terms.
So you could say a couple of different things.
Yep.
They had to pick it up on their own. So watching other people, sneaking peeks over the top of a wall, like in a lot of kung fu movies, that's how the hero first learns anything. Sneaking a peek, finding someone, maybe barely convincing them to show them a tiny bit of what they're supposed to be able to do. Perhaps their training was interrupted. You know, there's several ways of conceiving of why first level characters aren't really good at what they're supposed to do. Even clerics in old game didn't start out with any spells.
Right. And that I'm using that in Mudsword. I like that.
Right. So I think that's probably, if you're going to go from actually a 0. Yeah. I have to come off my high horse and say they have to be 0s. And go from there.
Not to make this almost coming a sub-segment of playing in the mud, but that's okay. I watched a couple of players' expressions as we were playing the other time. You missed the last play test. And I think it was funny when I think about how you responded to the difficulty of Mudsword. You commented several times the one you played. Oh, it's supposed to be hard. This should be hard. We're only first level. We shouldn't be good at stuff. You should probably fail more than you succeed in terms of rolls, right? And so maybe, and again, I watch players at the table and they're fully not used to that. It's been, even the ones that were experienced were like, yeah, I missed. I'm getting kind of grumpy.
Yeah.
And I guess it just, that's a conceit we need to think about. I mean, and you and I both clearly are leaning toward life's pretty hard levels 1 to 3 or 4. You may not have that first character. One of the reasons we don't want you making backgrounds too deep, don't write me a page and a half, is because you might be dead your first adventure.
So, right. So in a game that's more narrative, where you're probably going to live and it's only going to be just a freak accident that your character is going to die. Make up whatever conception you have for your character, as long as you want to write it. It doesn't matter a whole, trilogy of novels if you really want to.
Right.
But
from birth to 18, here's what I did.
Right. In 5th edition, you can do that because, as long as the DM is following the rules in
CR appropriate challenges,
yeah.
but you got to be careful. But yeah, first and second level in 5e is still pretty scary.
Well, the suggestion is to hit 3rd level, to start at 3rd.
Right.
I mean, there is a suggestion to do that. So many groups may want to do that. They may not want to go through the iffy 1st and 2nd level, because it is actually iffy. But
yep.
And
I think 13th age is like, you're pretty awesome from the get-go. There's never a problem. Though they do say in the book, then you may want to let characters level to level 2 after their first adventure, just because first level is no fun. Like, yeah, first level with 15 hit points, and a first level 13th age character is more like a 3rd or 4th level D&D character.
Right. You can get yourself in over your head easily in 13th age at first level, but after first level, it's pretty much predictable.
Well, you can, assuming the DM doesn't build appropriate battles.
Right.
They have that in there too. But to be fair to those guys, they designed it saying, don't always make fair battles. Because really the characters are much tougher than you'll read them, you go, if you first time playing 13th age, this is to Jason, I don't got the humble bundle. He told us that last time or time before last. You're going to read it. You're going to think, man, these characters are pretty tough. And then when you get them to play, you'll say, these guys are damn near impossible to kill is what it is. Unless you build super unfair encounters, they're going to survive and succeed.
Unless you throw owlbears at them and they rip their arms off.
I have done that before. I did do something. I threw an owlbear at a first level encounter. That was dangerous. So, but you know what? They still won.
Oh,
they still won because they had a couple of crits. And I had a 2nd or 3rd level, I think it was 2nd level group, ran into a CR4 wrecker, which was a Bulette. And those things, if they crit, they do 90 damage.
Yeah, that's a lot of points.
You're dead if they hit you. But I wasn't thinking, and they beat it. But
what level were they?
2nd.
Well, how'd they survive a regular hit?
Well, they could. They had enough to make it.
Probably barely.
Well, I don't know. It was just one of them, and they did it. So.
Well, yeah, there's just one. So yeah, there's that. Yeah.
The economy, attack economy.
Yeah.
So, action economy. All right. Shall we move on to some the old email? We hadn't been checking that for a long time. And
yeah, I have aired.
No.
Yeah,
say it ain't so.
I have aired.
Say it ain't so.
So we started out with our email being questions@biggestgeekispodcast.com. And after I changed it to the geeks, I kind of ignored the other one. So
I could have checked it too.
So, we got 4 email messages to it. Most recent one was Sunday.
Oh, okay.
So, which we'll need, we'll probably want, there's 2 in here that we should address.
Okay.
Well, so we should talk about 3 of them.
Okay.
Firstly, we got a message from Donald Trump somehow.
How nice. Donald emailed us?
Yeah. Well, a company on Donald Trump's behalf said he wants us to join that app somehow.
Sweet. Where
which
do I sign?
I'm
Donald,
sure
where do I
it's
sign?
legit. I mean, it's 100% legit.
Yeah. Okay.
So we will seriously consider
Yes. Seriously.
Donald Trump's endorsement.
That'll get
Oh.
us lots of followers.
Yeah.
It might actually.
So the other one is from a fellow you might recognize the name of,
Okay.
Miguel Ribeiro.
I
You
do
might have
not.
seen he has some material out on Drive Through RPG.
Oh, cool.
Moderate. I'm not sure how to exactly
Oh,
pronounce
okay.
it.
Is it D&D stuff or
It's
his
D&D
own?
stuff,
Cool.
but it's in the horror
Ooh.
genre.
Cool.
And so he wants to know if we are interested in his horror scenarios or settings. Or if we take submissions. I'm not really sure what he means, except maybe for review. So
Oh, well, tell him. Well, Miguel, I will look into those. I might be. I love.
so can you
scenarios.
access your email and see if you can pull this one up and respond to him?
Okay. I think I can. I mean, like not right now.
Right.
But respond to, yeah. I will respond to Miguel. Now that's pretty old though, right? Is that an old one or more recent?
It's from August.
Oh boy, he's probably forgot. He thinks we forgot about him. Okay.
But
I'll
it's he's getting published, I think, through Postmortem Studio.
Yes, I've heard of them.
Yeah, that's Grim Jim.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'll check the old email. What was the old email address? Remind me. I know I have access to it.
Biggest Geek is questions at biggestgeekispodcast.com. I know we went through setting you up so that you can get it through your email program. So
okay, I'll check it out. Gotcha. Miguel, even if you're not listening, I'm going to reply to you.
Yes. The other one is from a fellow named we'll just give him on the Legion of Myth Discord. His name is Arnman, Arnman. You may have seen him over there, but you might not remember. You're not there very much, so you need to take care of that.
I need to take care of that. Yes, Arnman.
But he's a Michigander.
Ooh, cool.
And he said he lives near Dundee. I don't know where that's at.
I know roughly. I've heard of it. I think I know roughly where it is.
I'm not originally from here, and you've
south,
lived
and
here
I believe it's south and west of us.
Okay. So what?
Cool.
I was introduced to your podcast via Legion of Myth. Yay!
Sweet.
He says, "Nice work." I'm an old guy.
Yay! So are we.
Yes.
So are we, Arnman.
We are very familiar with that. That played D&D for a few years, starting in '77. So he's a couple of years older than us.
Oh, dude. Okay.
We didn't start until 1980.
Yeah, 80 is when we started.
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah.
He lives near Dundee and would love to make some connections.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Please keep him in mind if anything comes up. So we will hopefully he listens, and we will get back with him.
Yeah. When was that sent?
Sunday. So that's recent. That's recent.
Good. Yes, good. I will. I'll respond to him too.
So thank you, and man, I don't want to say your name online unless you've given me permission.
Is it Ann or Arn? A-R-N?
Arnman. A-R-N-M-A-N. He's on the Discord.
Roger that.
The Legion of Myth Discord.
Yes.
I've been wondering if I should spruce up the Biggest Geekest Discord. We've never really used it except to record some podcasts early on.
Yeah, I think we should. Try, and I need to be active. We should post some questions and see if people want to chat about stuff. We got one guy commented. I saw a guy commented on ours. He said, "Good job, guys." So
okay,
that's cool. We should probably become more active. Well, when I say we, I really mean me, because Joe is being very active.
Yeah.
So
as much as I can. I mean,
yeah,
I get kind of social media fatigue.
Yeah, I just forget about it. He and Joe and I both have Joe's life is a little more hectic than mine, but even mine, sometimes I get caught up in stuff and I just want to decompress and not mess with the internet. But, I really wanted to jump on the other night. I meant to mention the other night when you were doing that Legion of Myth just kind of chat you guys had, told me to jump on. I would have, but I was already in the bed.
Right.
So I don't want to get up and do it, but that was cool. That was good.
I said Miguel Ribeiro's name, but not the other guy's name.
Dude. Okay. It's all right. Miguel, we're sorry. We've outed you.
I don't know. Maybe I'm being a little anal about that. I don't know.
Probably a good idea. If they have a sweet code name or something, we should use it.
Yeah.
Their email. Use their email name if it's not. So
it's the same. So it's no difference.
Okay.
Anyway, there is that. Those are the old email.
Cool.
We haven't gotten really any new email.
Okay.
At the new address.
Yeah.
Except some anchors spamming us with different offers and stuff.
Right. So cool. Thanks for all the voice messages and the emails. I'll try to get back to Iron Man and Mr. Postmortem Studios guy. How's that? And then so the only little piece of news that I had on here, unless you have something else, is the Terrask figure. So last week or Friday, I blasted the Jubilex figure because it's poop. And the Terrask figure is fine. I don't think it's
great.
I think it looks really good. I really like it. I'm really not paying $400 for that.
No. How big is it? I didn't see that. Is it big?
It's considered gargantuan. So it's going to be the size of the Tiamat figure. So, 11, 13 inches tall. It's going to be nice, but I mean, that's crazy.
That's a lot.
It's just too much money. I just hate putting, just like, I would love to have had the, what's that tavern in the Forgotten Realms that everybody knows? Remember they made that with the access to the Underdark?
No, I'm not sure.
I don't know. Anyway, they made that tavern. That looks, remember we had that months ago.
Oh, yeah.
The new Tiamat figure is awesome. It's a flying gargantuan Tiamat. And so is a Terrask figure. I've wanted a Terrask figure forever, but I just can't plop down $399.99. I can't do it.
No.
And it's just, why are they pricing these things so crazy? And maybe it's just what they cost. At least the Terrask is something that's, I could see someone going, there's a vanity item. And I bought vanity items, but not that much. I just can't go that high.
Well, you're only going to buy one.
Oh yeah. Why would you ever want more than one?
And not many people are going to buy it. And they did put a lot of detail on it. It's not just a regular sculpt of something they're going to have thousands of.
Yeah, it looks wonderful.
So I get that, but still $400.
And 10 years, it might be a $2,000 figure on the aftermarket. Because I know that old Colossal Red that I've got, I bought that back in the day during the 3rd edition era. It's bigger than this one. The Colossal Red is bigger than all of them.
Right.
And that thing's, if I had the box, it'd be going for $700 or $800 out of the box. I could still sell it for $300. And wow. I paid $100 for it back in the day. And it's much bigger, and it's got nice detail too.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I don't hate this as much. I don't hate it like I hate Jubilex. I just hate the fact that I can't bring myself to pull the trigger. I don't want to deplete savings for something like that. It wouldn't deplete savings, but
right. The Jubilex figure, not that it looked bad, but it's a blob. It's a it's a slime. I mean, you're not going to pay that kind of money for it didn't take a whole lot of. There was a lot more detail in a lot more detail in the Terrask figure than in the Jubilex one. I mean, it's
Joe will have a link in there to check out the Terrask. It's beautiful. If you got an extra $400 that you really don't need, then give it to me and I'll buy the Terrask figure so we as a community can have one at my house.
Right. Right.
I think Cabin Con guys could all got 20. Crap, you could all just give me $20. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, we could.
We could, and then we'd have the Terrask. I mean, I would have it, but I could say we have it, even though I would have it.
Yeah. The we would just be like vestigial.
Mostly be me.
Yeah.
Can I look at my
really
figure?
mean it.
Yeah, you guys be like, hey, Randy, can I see the Terras figure we bought? I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. You can see it behind the glass. Don't touch it. You can see my Terras figure. Actually, if, I wonder what the guys would think about. What if that was our, what if we bought a figure what if we bought that figure just to represent Cabin Con? You think 20 guys, I'd put 20 in for that. And we could bring it to Cabin Con every year, and some different people could keep it. It could be a prize. You get to keep the Terras figure for a year.
Oh, that might not be a great idea.
No, I think people might do something stupid.
Or they might get lost or something.
Yeah, lost. Okay. Okay. I just thought I wish we had a place.
Having it as like a mascot, so to speak.
That's what I was thinking.
That's fine. But having it travel with the different, that's an expensive. It's one thing for us to get some crappy trophies to pass around annually, but a $400 price tag item
that could possibly keep going up because they tend to.
What if someone just kept it in their basement and they got water damage? It could be just an accident.
I mean, even if I kept it, anything could happen. My dog could get a hold of it.
Yeah. And honestly, no one person is out that much, so it's not a huge deal for anyone individually, but it would be a loss.
But it would be a cool old school type thing to have a Terras at Cabin Con every year. Now it'd be funny if we bought it and said someone must run an adventure with the Terras in it every year. Some adventure.
Well, we just bring disposable characters every year.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
Oh well. Yeah. You can dream big, baby. If you're going to dream big.
I guess we can add another news item. It's not news really, but segment one item. So last week we talked about, Superman's son? Yeah.
Johnathan Kent.
Yeah, it's confirmed.
Are they killing him too? Are they killing Superman too?
Not the killing part, but the gay part.
Okay. Yeah. I knew that was true. I'm pretty sure the rumor is that Clark Kent's going to be gone soon and Jonathan's going to take over, so they can then say Superman is actually gone.
There's pictures going around the internet with him in a lip lock with another dude.
I find that so progressive and just so garbage, crap, weak sauce. But hey, DC, you do you, baby. You're in your lane now. This is your lane, the lane of stupid. So just live it. Live your best stupid life.
Thank you for clearly identifying your lane. So those of us who want interesting characters that are not supposedly made interesting merely by being gay or whatever.
That's so weak. Yeah. But like I said last time, at least it's not Clark. If they'd done Clark, it would have been but they're going to go around about it.
No, they're doing the other weak sauce, interesting, quote unquote. We're going to do something interesting with Superman. We're going to kill him.
That's the rumor. And they don't kill him. Yeah, they're probably going to cripple him. Yeah. Somehow he's going to get, his spine's going to be infused with kryptonite. He can't function. So
all he has to do is have someone toss him in the sun. He'll be fine in a couple of centuries.
No. Okay. Yeah. So that's just a clarification. So those that were nervous and were hoping, fingers crossed, man, I sure hope they make Johnathan by. He's going to be that way. So that's pretty cool.
So anybody who is disturbed or just wants something new comic book wise, there are a lot of options out there, and you will hear a lot of them if you listen to Eric July.
Yes.
He's
actually going to be producing some.
Yeah, he's coming out. Well, I don't know if it's going to end up called this, but he's coming up with a comic book universe, and he's calling it the RipperVerse.
Yeah.
Because his online handle is Young Ripper 59. So it's the RipperVerse.
And I would pimp. I think I did last time. I would pimp for you guys interested in something good. Arkhaven.com. ARKHAVEN. Chuck Dixon is one of the many artists and writers that are on there. That's got some really good online comics, and you can purchase comics there too, and they're not like busted up with the left wokeism.
Right. and they don't make a big deal of anything. They
Nope.
just do their own thing.
Right.
And it's not, as far as I know, it's not political. It's
No.
just, they're free to do their own thing.
They don't have to signal things. They don't have to get the check marks. They just have to make a comment. They might have, I don't know, there might be gay characters in there. I really don't care.
No.
Or at least they're just, but they don't throw it in your face. It's a comic book about blah.
If you
So-
follow, I've followed a lot of them on Twitter, and it is a diverse, there's no T in diverse. It is a diverse looking group of superheroes in the
Yep.
comics. There's a lot
Yep.
of women, people
Yep.
of color. I don't
Yep.
know about their sexuality, but who cares? It's a freaking comic book.
Exactly.
And, right.
But yeah, it's pretty, and I've read a good chunk of stuff. There's some good stuff, and there's some stuff that I don't care to read. I don't think it sucks. It's just not my type of comics. You know, I'm
Right.
more of a superhero guy, but really good. Good stuff. Yeah. All right. Anything else?
Nope. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm going to quickly add stuff to the, did I close it? I think I closed it. The show notes for the episode,
Yes.
because we have mentioned some extra stuff. Let's see. We talked about gay Johnathan Kent.
Yep. And Arkhaven.com.
Ark. Is that one word?
Yes. ARKHAVEN. Check it out. You'll like it too, Joe. Lots of free
Arkhaven.
reading on there.
Yeah, I meant to do that the last time you mentioned it, but forgot. Arkhaven and Eric July.
I definitely enjoy that style that's less. I'm not an anime guy, folks. You guys know that. And so I like the Arkhaven art. Most of it's more like the 90s style art. And I like that better than most modern comic book art. It's not for me.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, Eric July is a black dude. Not that it matters a whole lot, but his inaugural comic is going to be about a black hero. So
Yeah. I'm sure it'll be good. At least it'll be interesting. It'll be good. I don't know. I don't know if Eric's a good writer. We'll find out.
he does ghostwriting as a profession.
Oh, okay. Well,
So he knows how to write.
Okay, cool. Good. I'm excited to see it.
Yeah.
I'm buying the first one.
I can't point to you who he's ghost written for because I've never heard, but people who have ghostwriters tend to not say.
Right. And last I heard, he's yet to give any real juicy information. He's got some real people working in his RipperVerse. And when I say that's not nice to me, he's got ex-Marvel and DC people, I believe, people that have worked for Marvel and DC working on his RipperVerse. So
As in
inking and art and stuff. Yeah.
Was working for Marvel or DC like yesterday. I mean, not
No.
yeah,
Yeah.
very recent past, not like years
No.
and years and years ago.
No. Not like he's not pulling Chuck Dixon off the shelf, even though I think Chuck Dixon is awesome. And if he writes something, you should read it because he's a bomb. All those Batman writers, Denny O'Neil, Doug Mintz, those guys back in the early 90s stuff. That's some good Batman stories.
I think Nightwing, because he was
Nightwing.
on
And Robin
was-
back then too were good.
right, but Chuck Dixon was on Eric July's show, and he
Mhm.
was he's the one who came up with the Nightwing thing.
Oh, I think he did. And I know he wrote the first like 30 or 40 issues of Robin when it was Tim Drake. And then Nightwing is a pretty big, he did a lot. He created Bane.
Yeah, he created Bane.
Dixon created Bane. So
Yeah.
him and I forgot who his partner was, Graham Nolan. So that's he's got one I'm thinking about supporting on Indiegogo. Those are some of my favorite in my adult life writers. So the Bat family of writers in the 90s. So
Right.
Yep.
All
Okay.
right.
Shall we move on then?
Let's move it right along.
We're going to do a topic tonight, which is surprising. We haven't done this. Alignment.
We've talked about it.
We have, but we've not really dug into it. And that's what I hope to do. So I've looked up a definition. It is a D&D related definition, but because I know, Joe, I don't know where did you mention once that you like palladiums? You mentioned that in something. Was it on Legion of Myth or some other thing you were
It
on?
may have been on there. I might have mentioned it on our show once or twice, or just maybe when we were talking.
So this is a definition of alignment in general, but found from a Google search: the categorization of the ethical and moral perspective of player characters, non-player characters, and creatures. Okay, so what's alignment for, dude? Why do we have it, especially in D&D?
To identify, okay, so I think early on it was to identify whether you're with the good guys or the bad guys.
That's what I thought. That's the simple. You good guy, bad guy, or are you the dude that's sitting in the middle?
Right.
Now I remember early in the days, we used to play back in the day, neutral was kind of a popular alignment because nobody wanted to commit. They used to often want to be able to do whatever they wanted.
Right. Kind of like chaotic neutral of later days.
Is that a tag that you need on your character? When I ask that question, I mean, because I've gone through phases. I've gone through, when I first played D&D, it was just part of the game. We played alignment. I was a stickler for alignment. I mean, I said, everybody's got to have an alignment. You couldn't choose not to have one. And then when I got into the Planescape setting, it had me, because it was more about philosophies, and it regrouped people, like groups of lawfuls work together, a group of chaotics work together, whether they were neutral or good or whatever. It got me rethinking about alignment. And then eventually I started saying, what is alignment? Who needs it? Toss it. And then now I'm coming back to it as a general. To me, it's not going to be, it's not a handcuff. What do you think, Joe?
Right. We shouldn't look at alignment as a handcuff, though it is a guide. So I know in one of the most recent WotC books, they call it a role-playing aid, and that it identifies the character's moral outlook, but does not direct the character's actions. However, that's kind of a silly statement, because your moral outlook does kind of direct, maybe, but how closely it dictates your actions depends on your conviction. So if you have this moral outlook, but you're not really married to it, you're like, yeah, I was brought up that way, but, and I believe it, but, I'm weak, so I'll do, I won't necessarily follow it. Now, you might be able to say that person's alignment isn't really that thing, whatever that thing is. But I don't think that there is a conviction component to alignment. There is just the outlook. This is your outlook. And
so maybe there should be. Maybe we should have a conviction.
Well, then you're definitely allowing a game rule to put strictures on the behavior of your character. So then ideas of player or player agency are going to get brought up. However, if your character can just act however you say, and it doesn't really matter,
on a whim,
on a whim, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, blah, 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 blah. It's not really all that interesting. However, if you have a structure to work within, then some situations are going to prove challenging to overcome. Yes. So if you are a definite good guy who won't say, we don't deal with terrorists, right?
Yep.
You're a terrorist, I'm not going to give in to your demands. We don't negotiate. But so then a situation arises where if you don't negotiate, there are consequences, so that then your actions are going to be more circumscribed. You're going to have to figure out what to do in spite of your beliefs, but you don't necessarily sidestep them. You have to, okay, this is my belief.
What can I do and not break my own moral code?
Or deal with demons. There's a demon. Hey, I've got your parents locked up in hell. You have to deal with me.
Yep.
So if you've stated or your alignment is lawful good, you're not going to want to work with a demon.
Right.
So you're going to have to work that out, and it's going to be a challenge, and it's going to be interesting.
I agree.
But if
That's
but
the
if
key
you
part.
right, but if you just do whatever, then I've got your parents. So what?
Yeah. Or, all right, let's make a deal.
Yeah, let's make a deal. No big deal. Well, I'll do it. Sure. Blah blah blah.
You need to you need to burn down this orphanage, and I'll give your parents back.
All right,
All right,
I'm on it.
Yep. Yeah. So alignment has this. It's pretty, to me. Not only is D&D the first role playing game, and we're going to get to Palladium and some of the others. There are other and I didn't do an exhaustive research. I just actually looked at Reddit a little bit and just a quick run through to find games that.
I'm going to grab a Palladium book. I've got one right here.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So I did a quick run through just to compare the D&D alignment system to others. And I've got Pendragon, which I know nothing about. I've got World of Darkness, which I know little to nothing about. And then I've got Palladium, which I have at least in front of me in a way that I can reference. And Joe just grabbed the book. I have it on a website too, Joe.
Good deal.
But I wanted to begin with D&D because that's where, to me, probably the father of alignment. And OD+D, I actually copied and pasted from my PDF. Here's what it says in the OD. This is all it says, I think. I could be wrong. It's all it says in the 3 little booklets. Character alignment, including various monsters and creatures. Before the game begins, it is not only necessary to select a role, but it's also necessary, role being your character class, necessary to determine what stance the character will take, law, neutrality, or chaos. And then they give a list of monsters that are lawful, neutral, or chaotic. By the way, elves were lawful back in the day. When they were neutral initially, then they became lawful, and now whatever. So that's all they said about alignment in the original books. So that was the longest, and the clerics were lawful.
So were those words defined? Law, neutrality, and chaos?
Oh, no.
Wow.
Yeah. So figure it out. Now,
That's fine. Okay. That's perfectly fine, because the old game was more into having a loose structure and then telling the DM and the players to figure it out.
And the DM, every DM was different. It was there were table rules. Look, his concept of lawful. I mean, you can think of all the debates we've had. That's not what a lawful neutral character would do. And then along came the Holmes. Now I didn't read this closely because I have a PDF copy, but I haven't looked at it. I didn't look at it for some reason. The 77 Holmes. They had a 5 alignment system, and I think they defined it some: lawful good, lawful neutral, chaotic good, chaotic evil. No, lawful good, lawful evil. Get that right. Lawful good, lawful evil, chaotic good, chaotic evil, and then neutral. Those were the 5 alignments in the 1977 Holmes. I don't know what Eric Holmes was thinking there, but it's interesting, and he explained it. And then Beckney, a rule cyclopedia, went back to OD&D and did lawful, neutral, and chaotic, but defined it.
Okay.
So lawfuls believe that everything should follow some sort of order, obeying rules, natural way of life. They tell the truth, obey laws, keep promises, care for living things, for all living things.
Obey laws that are fair.
Did it say that?
Yes.
Obey laws that are fair. Thank you.
Now, talk about vague.
Yeah.
The word fair. Fair to whom?
Mm-hmm.
But that's the thing. Those are going to be arguments people get in the real life.
Correct.
Just think of just arguments within the political sphere that people who are supposed to be similarly aligned in the political sphere might have amongst their own people.
Here's the fascinating thing. So when I was running through the Reddit forums and stuff on this, which one was it? Yeah. So World of Darkness, I assume they have a moral system that rates 1 to 10 how moral you are. This I thought fascinating, and I highlighted it in the notes.
Yeah, I saw that.
A 10 would be people who believe even lying is a sin, and 1 would be a deranged psychopathic killer. So I guess I'm a 10.
Yeah, because
I think lying is, well, even forget sin. I think the idea is that it's
It's
wrong.
wrong. Yeah, lying is wrong.
And it's like,
But that's not prescriptive either. Just because you believe it's wrong,
doesn't mean you won't do it.
right?
I said before that I believe we as people, human beings, are hypocritical
Can
in
be.
general. I mean, and I don't mean that. I mean, I think I have reasons why, but I think we struggle in our nature. I can state a lot of things that I believe are true. And most of the time I can have strong convictions about them. I don't think you should do this, shouldn't do that. And then one of them or two of them I might do,
Right.
because of the situation.
I think that's less hypocritical and more that humans are prone to error.
I agree. Humans are flawed.
And temptation can overcome the, the purest of thoughts. Temptation can overcome if you let it.
But to be fair, that statement
Yeah.
that I highlighted, I believe is a person's opinion on that moral system. So you rate one being super moral and one being not moral. And I believe that's that person's opinion on it. So it wasn't a direct quote from the World of Darkness book or Vampire book or anything like that. But a numeric rating system is definitely more wiggle room. But back to Beckme. And so chaos is the idea of randomness and chance. Laws are meant to be broken as long as a person can get away with it. It's not important to keep promises. Lying and telling the truth are both useful. To me, lawful and chaotic in Beckme sounds like good and evil. I mean, I think they literally married. A lawful person is a good person and a chaotic person is an evil person.
But evil people can be very regulated and lawful too.
They can't, right. And that's where we're getting to the AD+D. I agree with you. I'm saying the way they described it in Beckme, though, that's the Beckme book, that's the Beckme definitions. They said it is important not to keep promises, and lying and telling the truth are both useful as a chaotic person. So it means they don't really give two craps whether you lie or tell the truth.
Right.
Neutrality is a belief the world is a balance between law and chaos. Who thinks about law and chaos?
Nobody. I don't think people think this way.
No,
this is alien.
Right. It is neither. It is, well, and I think it was probably due to the influence of Moorcock. Moorcock was a writer that was really big. His books had big things of law and chaos, kind of metaphysical, super multiverse, big ideas, had lords of chaos, lords of law. And I enjoyed that. But as I thought about it, and as I got older, I thought alignment is not a thing. A person doesn't, I hated, remember alignment tongue?
Yeah, it's dumb.
Alignment language, that's the dumb, I'm speaking lawful evil.
No,
even when I was young, I was like, that's stupid. Who speaks an alignment tongue?
Now, what you can do is, instead of using a different language, let's say English is common,
right?
Just for arguments purposes,
right?
A lawful good and a chaotic evil are still using English, but the concepts they're talking about might be difficult to grasp because you're not seeing things from their perspective. So they might, a chaotic evil person would say, what do you think of blah, 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 blah? And the lawful good person would say, what are you talking about? Right. I don't understand anything you just said. You just spoke in circles or whatever.
Well,
yes. And that could be just because the points of view are so far apart, it's hard for them to communicate, even when using the same language. But they are still using the same language. So calling it a language is kind of weird.
Right. It's more of a, like I said, a perspective. It wasn't in the neutrality, the individual is important, but so is the group. Two sides must work together. That sounds weird. I mean, I get it, but, and then I thought, I really think AD+D, and I've married AD+D 1E and 2 together with 3.X, had the 9 alignment system.
Right.
And that's where you had a lawful chaos axis and a good evil axis and neutral in the middle. So you could have any one of the 9. You could have a neutral evil. You could have a chaotic neutral. You could have a lawful good. You couldn't have a lawful chaotic because they're on the same axis, but you couldn't have a good evil, and you could have a true neutral. I think that's a better way to break down into more types of people. And a lawful good paladin and a chaotic evil assassin sit down in a bar. And this is getting to alignment tongue. Here's the closest I could envision it. And they're talking about their days, what they've been up to the last week. They just met, say the assassin offered to buy the paladin a beer. They don't know each other. They're just sitting and chatting. And and maybe they get down a discussion that involves a moral thing, like going to church this Sunday because there's the Festival of Light. And the assassin's like, why are you doing that for? I'm a paladin. So I get it. You're a big night guy. You don't have to go. Why are you going to church? It doesn't really matter. Well, why are you doing what the man's telling you to do? And just their discussion could be a hint as to their opinion on things. And the paladin and the assassin could be like, oh, I kind of get how this dude is. That's the closest you could come in my mind to having a language where you just understand where this guy's coming from. Now, it would be pretty hard to pigeonhole, I'm going to pigeonhole that assassin into chaotic evil. Probably not as hard to pigeonhole a paladin into lawful good, but maybe. I mean, my vision of a paladin, I guess you could have one that's pretty quiet and subdued and reserved. That would make sense.
Mhm.
And maybe they don't talk so much about their beliefs. They just live them.
Right.
So, but yeah, so I mean, I remember that's the system we played most of the time, was that 9 alignment system. What do you think of that one?
Well, it's very familiar.
Yeah.
But we always had arguments. Always had arguments.
Yep.
I think that having it show up on a chart and you say, here's the alignment chart. Well, it's a nice chart, but I'm not sure if the 9 alignments are pigeonholes, but I don't know. They're very familiar. They're easy to in some respects, easy to understand, although, so here's an argument.
Yeah.
Chaotic good.
Yes.
All right.
Oh,
so
yeah. I remember some of that.
Whatever's good for me. Right. That's how people would describe chaotic good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a good guy. I'm chaotic good. Whatever's good for me. And
Well,
I'm like, how do you get that out of that description? It's written right there.
Well, hold on. Yeah, speaking that is written, here is chaotic good from the Wikipedia, which is, so to be fair, just so everybody knows, I know that 1E, 2E, and third edition, 3.53X, whatever, they didn't quite use the exact same phraseology, but they used the same 9-point alignment and they were roughly the same. Here's what Wikipedia says chaotic good is. A chaotic good character does what is necessary to bring about change for the better, disdains bureaucratic organizations that get in the way of social improvement, and places a high value on personal freedom, not only for oneself, but for others as well. Chaotic good characters usually intend to do the right thing, but their methods are generally disorganized and often out of sync with the rest of society. Examples of this alignment include copper dragons, elves, and unicorns. So it brings up elves and unicorns. It brings about the idea of a classic person who's kind of a hippie, and he's an activist, but he's got a great heart and he wants to do good things. Mm-hmm. He wants people to do well, but he likes to fight the man, and he tries to mostly seek battles where the man's doing bad stuff. Mm-hmm. And he's trying to fight it. And don't put no chains on me. I ain't gonna put none on you. Let's be free, peace and love, hold hands, sing kumbaya. I don't see that being a person that I'm out for myself. What's good for me? That's a complete misreading, misrepresentation of chaotic good. But chaotic good was for a while the alignment that people tried to cheeseball. Now I say cheeseball because I'm getting to a point. Alignment had actual mechanical effects. If player Gygax especially pushed the idea, if a character steps out of alignment, pop him, right? And I remember doing that, trying to. Now, I didn't do that much. Early on, I kind of did, but I got tired of fighting that battle because it was a battle every time. Mm-hmm. If I thought Joe was doing something out of alignment, I was in for an argument. So, and I'm not knocking Joe, but he's a smart guy and he has his opinions. He doesn't do too many things willy-nilly. And so it was like, yeah, he probably had a pretty good reason for doing it. I mean, maybe he didn't, but he would argue it. And we were younger. We loved to argue with each other. So it didn't matter. Whether he was really right or wrong, if I was wrong, it didn't matter. Here's another one. What about chaotic neutral? Yeah, dude.
So if you couldn't convince the DM that chaotic good meant whatever's good for me, then you would have to default to chaotic neutral.
Correct.
And that's probably where you should have gone first.
Yeah. Here's chaotic neutral. It's got a very short description compared to chaotic good. A chaotic neutral character is an individual who follows their own heart, usually shirks rules and traditions. Although chaotic neutral characters promote the ideals of freedoms, it is their own freedom that comes first. Good and evil comes second for their need to be free. Examples are barbarians, rogues, and some bards. So
Yeah, whatever's good for me.
when they say that, that's the most, thing, whatever's good for me. So we had a lot of characters, players that always played. We thought it was to get away with whatever you want alignment.
Right.
What's good for me now, which
Yeah.
is kind of true. Chaotic neutral was a pain in the butt.
So if you didn't want to choose an alignment, you wanted to be able to just do whatever that the situation called for, chaotic neutral is your buddy.
Mhm.
Oh, if you're going to use alignment at all.
Right, if you are.
Yeah.
So what did you think of what did you think if a lawful good paladin does something that's quote unquote chaotic and he gets nailed with, I lose my paladin abilities and I must atone? Or if even back in first edition, I'm a chaotic neutral thief and I go help the babies, save the babies from the evil monsters, and I go give gold, I tithe to the church. So, hey, you're being good and lawful. Bam, you lose experience points, or bam, you lose a level. What did you think of that?
Well, I've always thought that the only people that should get penalized for acting out of alignment to some, to a harsh degree,
Mm-hmm.
would be those whose class calls for that, like the paladin,
Monk.
the monk,
Remember the monk?
cleric. It all depends.
Mm-hmm.
Druids.
Yep.
Okay. While we're talking about druids, we can also talk about neutral and balance, because that was the first time I saw something in a game book and I said, well, that's totally stupid. The early description of neutral was talking about people who would help one side in a battle.
Yeah.
And to preserve the balance, they would go to the other side and sell arms.
A typical druid. Hold on, let me read this because Joe loves this. I love where Joe go off on this. A typical druid might fight against a band of marauding gnolls, only to switch sides to save the gnolls clan from being totally exterminated. Examples of alignments include lizard folk, most druids, and many humans.
Right.
They seek balance. Who seeks balance in the Force? Are they all Jedi?
Stupid. Okay, so I could see you're fighting a band of gnolls, and somebody in the party says, let's track them back to their lair and kill every gnoll. And how about we also do this? We make it our new goal to kill every gnoll on the planet.
Right. We're gonna commit genocide.
Right. Which in D&D, gnolls are evil and they are ripe for slaughter because of it.
But I could.
But the druid, the druid would say, okay, well, I'm fine with us, defending ourselves and attacking this one clan and driving them off, but pursuing them all the way back to their camp and murdering them all in their sleep, like Anakin did.
All the little puppies.
All their little puppies and all that stuff is going a little too far. I could see them doing that, but switching sides,
I know
that would depend, especially if your party members are your friends and they're saying, and you say, yeah, I'm going to join the gnolls and fight you now.
No, better yet, more than likely a smart player. And we had players, I'm going to go scout ahead in wolf form. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and tell the gnolls we're coming and I'm going to help them. I'm going to set up these traps and pitfalls. I mean, I can see a player doing that back in the day.
Right. So if you want to be a troublemaker and all that, that's fine. But saying that what you're doing is achieving the balance.
That's what my character would do according to this alignment.
Yeah. The whole idea of balance within this alignment structure is very odd, which is another reason why I wasn't really married to alignment, because there were so many bits and pieces of the 9 alignment system that I was kind of, I prefer the older 3 alignment.
Do you? Okay.
Because it's vaguer, it's more vague, and you have more wiggle room, and there's less of this wonkiness. It's you're a good guy, you're a bad guy, or you're somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
Although there's still that balance thing. I don't get where do they, oh, okay, like you were saying, they got it from.
It's kind of a more Cockian thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't hate, I mean, look, I could imagine this. I could imagine Volsivar, Joe's favorite wizard, getting to 25th level, becoming Doctor Strange of Greyhawk. And he's like, you know, someone's got to keep this crap in order. There's times, you know, we got to stanch the tide of evil, but sometimes these good folks get a little crazy and they start oppressing people because of what they're doing. So I'm going to help keep a balance. And he might think on a high level, I try to keep balance, but he's not going to be like, well, looks like the elves are starting to proliferate a lot more. I think I'm going to go join the orcs and we're going to kick some crap out of a couple of elven villages. He wouldn't do that. That's crazy talk.
Yeah, yeah.
But it doesn't mean he may not go, you know what? I maybe need to go talk to the elves and say, look, you're being a little ridiculous. And if they get a little crazy, like, we're gonna set all these rules for the people because there's so many, then he might become a little more, he might stand up against them and say, well, I'm not going to let you go to Hamlet and tell these people how to live just because you don't like how they live. I'm not going to allow it.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's probably that neutrality is probably in balance or words that they had to come up with to describe perhaps that. Because what thing would you call that? Would you say it's balance? Not precisely. It's more order than anything else.
Now there was
what you're describing there.
Yes, I agree. Balance like order. Now tell me this. There was, I think in the end of second edition, maybe, the idea of unaligned. It says creatures not sapient enough to make decisions or moral choices, but purely operate on instinct would be unaligned.
Like animals.
Savage. Huh?
Like animals.
Yeah, animals. Yeah. Or even like a bulette. That's a magical creature, but it just wants to eat. It's got a big tummy and it runs through food fast. So likes to eat horses and halflings and people.
Right.
And eat whatever gets his mouth on. And it's got a big mouth.
Right.
So it's hard to call a bulette. It's not really evil. It's just,
right.
It's what I do.
It's hungry.
It's like calling a shark evil. It's not even neutral. It's not worried about, well, I ate this fish. I better not eat this fish. Keep the balance. I'm going to eat every fish.
Yeah. What's your alignment? Hungry.
Exactly. Yeah. That is true. Now, fourth edition came along. Now, what did they do? You know, it was perfection.
I don't know. I didn't play it.
It was perfection incarnate. I did a little reading. So they had, they described good as, now I did like the simplicity. Good is freedom and kindness. Lawful good is civilization and order. Evil is tyranny and hatred. Chaotic evil is entropy and destruction. Unaligned, having no alignment, not taking a stand. Okay. PCs could not be evil or chaotic evil unless the DM was running an evil campaign. That was their advice, which I'm good with that.
That's a good structure right there.
It's actually not bad. I was saying fourth edition kind of got that part right. I mean, it's more than neutral, lawful and chaotic, but it's not bad. I was going to say the same thing. I think it's halfway decent.
And actually unaligned, there, I would say a pretty large section of especially if you got into the really big civilization, quite a few of those people are not going to be very aligned. They're not going to really take a stand on really anything. They got too much stuff they're doing in their regular daily lives to really care. I've got to feed my family. Get out of my face.
Yeah, I'm not worried about your big crusade against the necromancer or against the dwarves because they're the Duergar. I don't care. I gotta go. I gotta go farm this. I gotta go till this field.
Or it doesn't matter to them. You know, if there's going to be a war, I don't care because the king's just going to conscript me anyway.
Right.
Whether I take a stand or not, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to go fight.
I'm not mad at those people across the mountain, but apparently we got to fight them because they're trying to take our land. And okay, the king's going to make me. Yeah, not bad. Fifth edition, I had the link there. They had all 9 alignments. They definitely streamlined it. According to this D&D official 5e wiki, for example, lawful good was creatures can be counted on to do the right thing as expected by society. Chaotic neutral, creatures follow their whims, holding the personal freedom above all else. Very simplistic. Lawful evil, creatures methodically take what they want within the limits of a code, tradition, or loyalty or order. Code of tradition, loyalty or order. Then they give examples like devils and blue dragons and hobgoblins and things. What do you think of those? Have you linked to that? Can you take a look at it?
Well,
Is that too much?
well, I think some of this is kind of like chaotic good. Creatures act as their conscious directs, which is fine, with little regard for what others expect. I guess it just seems a little well, maybe that's chaotic. Yeah.
You think with alignment, but you definitely lean toward with alignment, less is more.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So what about the Palladium system? Let's talk about that.
All right. It's going to be a little bit of a contradiction of what I was just saying about less is more, because I think Palladium is a bit more, there's more detail.
Yep.
So with their alignments, they have good alignments, selfish alignments, and evil alignments. The good alignments, they have a discussion about neutral. There's no such thing as an absolute or true neutral. All people tend toward good or evil or self-gratification.
Oh,
An absolute true neutral could not make a decision, go on an adventure, kill, or take any action, whatever. I agree the true neutral thing is kind of alien.
yep.
I do, in real life, people are a mixture of the duality that we have of capacity for good, capacity for harm, and we struggle with that. That's the real life. But
I think true neutral could be accomplished by a deity
or an alien.
An alien, right? Someone who's, but to me in D&D world, it's definitely, to me, it feels like a deity because they would be, I'm above all the quabbles. So good and evil mean nothing to me.
Right.
I want to make sure this world survives and I like it the way it is. So I want to keep things. Good starts getting too big, now boost up evil. Evil starts getting too big, I boost up good. And I'm trying to keep this, even if things change, I want to always end up with kind of an interesting balance.
Right.
I could see that, but that's not a person. Yeah, weird. Go ahead. Sorry.
All right. So there's two good alignments. One's principled, and principled characters are generally the strong moral character. Superman is of a principled alignment with the highest regard for others' lives, well-being, truth, and honor. And then all of them have a list of what they will do. So principled characters will always keep your word, avoid lies, never kill or attack an unarmed foe, never harms an innocent, never tortures for any reason, never kills for pleasure, always helps others, works well in a group, respects authority, law, self-discipline, and honor, and never betrays a friend.
That's good.
It's scrupulous good. That's principled good. Scrupulous, and the good thing, they give good examples of individuals that you can model your character after.
Right.
So Superman, principled.
Yes.
Scrupulous.
Yep.
Have a high regard for life and freedom. This type of character is typically portrayed in many Clint Eastwood and Charles Bronson films. The vigilante that works beyond the law, yet for the law, and the greater good of the people. That's also kind of like Batman.
I was going to say, I was thinking Batman the whole time you're reading it.
Another list, but I don't think I'm going to read it for everyone.
Sure, it's fine.
But you get the idea. They're still not terribly detailed.
Yeah.
But enough, and it gives good examples.
They're playable. These are playable.
Yeah. So there's the selfish alignments, unprincipled and anarchist. And unprincipled would be Han Solo, especially early on.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe in the other movies, he might be more scrupulous. Yeah.
Yep.
An anarchist character. Do they have an actual? No, but it's a longer description because they don't have a person that they're pointing at. So the type of character likes to indulge himself in everything. They're the insurgent, con man, gambler, and high roller. Oh, who's the pirate in Pirates of the Caribbean?
Oh, Jack Sparrow.
Jack Sparrow.
Jack Sparrow. Though he becomes a little more scrupled later.
Right. Then they get into the evil alignments, miscreant, aberrant, and diabolic. And they go into detail about those.
Yeah.
But
I believe the aberrant's kind of like a lawful, be close to a lawful neutral. They have their kind of code. It says they never torture for pleasure, but will use it to extract information. They don't enjoy, but they have a code and a plan.
the diabolic.
No, that's the aberrant.
Well, it says here the cliche that there is no honor among thieves is false when dealing. Oh, okay, aberrant.
Yeah, that's the aberrant.
Driven to attain his goals through force, power, and intimidation. Right.
Classic anti-hero.
Superman's main adversary,
Lex
Luthor, probably aberrant.
Thanos.
Yep.
Yes, perfect aberrant. You might call him lawful evil in D&D. You might.
Right. The miscreant is, I mean, it's very descriptive. Thug.
Yeah.
Type person.
Yeah.
And diabolic is probably like the devils and the demons especially.
Yeah.
Megalomaniac, violence, and most despicable. Cruel, brutal, killer, trusts no one, and has no value for any life other than their own. And that's not Lex.
No.
Lex cared about other people.
He did. He had people he cared about. He had his own code. Superman was in his way. In Smallville, Superman was an alien that threatened the world. That was the reason he was against him.
Right.
Yeah.
Aberrant aligned
he saw Superman's power as a threat to the world.
Aberrant aligned characters find these unhonorable people just as revolting as a good aligned character.
Yep.
So I think that there's a lot to be said for the Palladium alignment system.
Yeah.
I think it, especially if they could have thrown in some examples like they did with the good guys, I think it would be a little better. But we were able to figure it out pretty easily, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like, to me, the Joker's a classic diabolic.
He wants to see it all burn.
Yeah, and a miscreant's like seeks out power for himself, anything to make himself more comfortable, lie and cheat indiscriminately, kill for sheer pleasure. That dude from, remember the first movie, The Mummy, with Brandon Fraser?
Yeah.
That guide friend of his, he was a miscreant. I think he would do whatever it took to get what he wanted. He wasn't particularly like, I mean, because he was a dirty dog. He turned on him pretty quick.
Oh, that guy. Yeah.
That guy, his
The
little
first
buddy.
the little squirrely guy.
Spoiler here.
Who had
spoiler,
who had the
The
50 different, the 50 different holy
Religious
symbols.
yeah.
Hold on a second. I've got to quiet my dogs. Can you hear my dogs? Yeah.
Yep.
Hold on.
So yeah, so I agree with you. I think there's a charm to the Palladium one. What do you, besides all these different systems and the alignments, they're all kind of similar. I think the ones like Pendragon and World of Darkness, which use a number scale, I don't know.
Okay, so I think they could serve different purposes for different types of play styles. Okay, I think folks who want alignments to be definite,
right?
I think they're better served with Palladium.
Agreed. This is what a scrupulous guy does.
Right. If you want an alignment system that's codified but has wiggle room, then you can use a lot of the other ones. Most of them, even let's say the 5th edition SRD is what we're looking at for 5th edition ones.
Yeah.
It's a one line.
Yeah.
And it's not, you got a lot of wiggle room in one line.
Not real prescriptive.
And old D&D just has a word. And, figure it out.
Lawful, chaos, neutral, even Beckney. They describe it a little bit, but it's pretty open.
And for folks who don't even want to worry about alignment, then none of this is really an issue at all. So if you say, who cares?
I've done.
Yeah.
We kind of did it during Elysium for a long time.
However, alignment for characters. Because even if you say, who cares about alignment, you still have to have, or you might not have to, but you might still have the idea that the characters are good guys on a more general level, and they're fighting against the bad guys, and so you throw orcs at them or whatever, especially if you're playing old school and the idea is you're playing heroes. That's kind of an alignment.
Yeah.
But it's more general, and it's not like the Palladium system where it's codified. But it's kind of, I think it probably does best for people who don't want a lot of structure to their alignment system.
What do you think of this? Because we could even use this like in a mud sword type thing. What if your alignments were heroic, mercenary, self-serving, and unaligned? But self-serving might be more mercenary.
Yeah, self-serving and mercenary are fairly synonymous.
Yeah. Unaligned, mercenary, and then you could go the opposite, villainous. So maybe villainous, heroic, villainous, self-serving, and unaligned. Unaligned is not the same as self-serving.
Well, do you want to get any more evil than villainous? Because villainous covers a lot of ground.
It does. I'm saying for those people that wanted something. I'm not saying
yes.
And I was just saying for Mudsword, but I'm kind of leaning a little bit toward the 9 alignment system, but I also do. I'm intrigued by Palladiums. You
can have 2 different things going on in a campaign, and for a rule set like we're imagining here. We could have the world, the setting, the things that we describe is pretty much obvious who's the good guys, who's the bad guys, and then there's going to be a bunch of people where it's not very obvious. Maybe they're somewhere in the middle. As far as when we come down to the rules, though, I think it's less important for a rule system to dictate and more important to have options. So you can have a Palladium system or a D&D system or a middle D&D. We'll call the 1E, 2E, 3E the middle D&D, and then the old D&D, really vague. And you could have different options and just let the group, the different tables do their thing.
What about 13 days, where they basically ignored it and just said you can slide these in if you want to?
Right. It's only as important as your table wants it to be. Just like just about any other rule. I guess what we might do is just decide on something.
Right.
And then just have some language in there and say, this is the core rule. This is what we do, but it's up to you to do whatever you want.
I've said this multiple times over the last few years. I just want some consistent character. You play your character consistently. Don't be every time you show up, you're kind of acting lawful goody, then you're a miscreant the next time, and then you're super heroic the next time, and then you're on the line, you're careless, you don't care about stuff. I mean, you can do that if that's kind of your character's deal. If like, my character's a lunatic.
Right.
He just moods hit him and that's what he does. Okay.
Right.
But
that shouldn't be every time you play. What kind of character you're on? Oh, lunatic. Oh,
no,
lunatic.
Right. I just want to do what I'm in a bad mood today, so I want to be bad.
Yeah.
I'm in a good mood today, so I want to be good and generous. I mean, I don't know.
Now, something cool you might do though is say, I'm in a bad mood today. My paladin's going to lose his abilities today. And then we could have him atone. That'd be a new thing. But you probably would want to discuss that with the DM first.
Yeah,
because
I think
the DM, because you're kind of taking control of things.
Yeah.
So what you might do is say, hey, this is what I want to do. What do you think?
Speaking of the paladin, that's a good question. Do you think it's Do you think it's the DM's right purview job for when a paladin or character where alignment's important, their conviction, their code, to call a player out when they do something against it? Or is that just going to lead to unnecessary debate?
Well, I don't think you call them out necessarily. You just say, if you proceed with this as per the rules for your character class, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then there's not really debate.
Right.
You don't, I mean, the player might want to say, what are you talking about? Blah, 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 blah. And then you say, no. You're a paladin. You're getting ready to murder a whole orphanage full of kids, Anakin, and you're no longer going to be a paladin after you do that.
What about
so that you know?
Yeah. And then of course that brings up the gray area we had mentioned last week, the whole, well, you killed all the goblins and they're the babies in the nursery, and the little nursemaid, she's a 900-year-old goblin, and they're begging for mercy. Is your paladin just take them out because they're evil goblins? I mean, now,
okay.
Good. Here's the answer to me. Whatever you want to do at the table, whatever you think is okay, I'm fine with. If you want to say the goblins are evil, they have to die, okay. Now I have to admit, I don't think I could do that if I was playing a character, a paladin, I'd be like, I can't kill these goblins.
Right. The other thing you can do is not do that at your table, as far as putting that quandary up in the first place. So some DMs, they don't have those. They don't, unless you're purposefully trying to put up a moral quandary, and you want your players to deal with a moral quandary, then you do that kind of stuff. But if you're adventuring, moral quandaries should be pretty, I wouldn't say light, because in the Lord of the Rings, the big moral quandary was the ring itself.
Correct. Are you going to try to put it on and you're not Frodo? That's dangerous.
Various characters did various things. For the most part, they shied away from it. There was only a couple, like there was Boromir, who actually tried to take it. Everybody else that he offered it to, initially they're like, no.
Yeah.
So did they really deal with the quandary or not?
Right.
No, except for Boromir. It was discussed.
Right.
So all that being said, if you want to be a DM who likes to place moral quandaries for their characters, sure, have the baby goblins or gnolls or whatever. But I prefer not. As a player,
not to have that in the game.
Not necessarily. I mean, if you're presented with the chance to be heroic, that's kind of a moral quandary.
Right.
Because you could just decide to not save the princess. So those are the or making hard decisions to accomplish your mission. Kind of moral in a way, but bringing up the baby goblins all the time, that would just, if the DM was like, okay, you've killed the goblins and now there's the babies, what do you guys do? I got to deal with this again. Can we just let
it go? I think most people, I mean, as a player, I'm trying to respond as a player. Can we just let that be something in the background? Let's not worry about how we handle that.
Right.
Even though we beat the goblin tribe, can we just say the babies ran off or whatever?
Right.
The nursemaids, there are 4 or 5 of them, they grabbed the kids and took off. Or just don't bring it up. Let's not even talk about it, because we're heroic adventurers. We're killing the bad goblins, the ones that are yet to be bad, which are likely going to be bad. We're just going to wait to kill them later on. Our next characters kill them when they're growing up.
And I think most heroic characters would probably do that, because sure, goblins are evil incarnate. That's their trope. But the little baby goblins haven't done anything yet.
And that's your decision too. I mean, I'm also fine if you want to run a world kind of like new 5e D&D. If you want to run a world where everybody is individualistic, everybody everywhere, or whatever you want, and you can say, well, devils are sometimes neutral or good, or demons are sometimes, lawful good priest of Lohas. I mean, if you want to do that, okay, but then you're going to be playing that game. Then that's going to be the quandary is going to be, well, maybe it's settled for you then. Because then if you're being heroic, you really can't kill a defenseless person.
Right.
Not really.
They're
Like,
defenseless.
Defenseless anything. Defenseless
Right.
demon,
Right.
defenseless dragon. So yeah. So right now, do we have a favorite system? Do you have a favorite system?
I like Palladium.
I'm kind of with you there. I'm feeling that's pretty good, though it's hard for me. I love to, if you hear me, I describe a lot of things in terms of the 9-point alignment. That's a
Yes,
very lawful
yes.
evil thing, but I have a very concrete view in my mind what I think lawful evil is. But
Right.
Palladium does seem easily, and they give enough examples where you can go, oh, I see who this guy is.
Right.
you know?
I would say my favorite is Palladium
Mhm.
or ignore it
Hmm.
for the most part. I
think
think
so.
you can simulate, let's say if you did with D&D, you would still have to worry, depending on which version of D&D you
Mhm.
played in, because some versions of D&D, you can be a paladin of any alignment.
Right.
Whatever. That's stupid. But
Right. No.
if you traditional paladin, you can simulate the lawful good alignment with a moral code
Right.
that's delineated. You can't do this, that, and the other thing, or these are the things you can do. However you want to do it. As long as you have that code detailed, you don't necessarily have to have an alignment system in general.
Yeah, and I think like for me, when I say that we've been playing unaligned, I still have, for the most part, angels are good, demons and devils are evil.
Right.
I mean, they're embodiments of that. I'm also not a fan of, and this is connected to alignments, I'm not a big fan of spells like, I hate no alignment. Because that just caused no end of trouble. I really am not a huge fan of detect spells, like detect evil, detect good. I think, it's okay, but I don't like this idea. Remember the old days? Paladin, the group walks in the bar, detect evil. Oh, look, that dude having a beer is registering as evil.
Okay, we go kill him.
Yeah, we go kill him. Really? And the thing is, my thought is, really, 4th level rogue who is chaotic, he registers as evil. I forgot what game it was, but there was some game I was reading. There was just an idea I saw in a Dragon magazine. People rarely give off an alignment. I may be the most deadly assassin all of Waterdeep, and I'm sitting eating dinner. I'm probably not thinking about stabbing somebody in their head. At that point, I'm kind of I'm like, this steak is good. I'm gonna get some more potatoes.
Right.
And the paladin detects alignment. Now, it could be that I have done such evil things and have made pacts with dark beings that my soul is stained.
Right.
And it could be a rare character who would give off evil. Or I could be I've done such heroic things and have been blessed by the gods themselves. Their servitors or solars have come down and touched me on the shoulder and given me divine right that I register as good, or I'm a cleric, a 20th level priest of Orcus. He's probably going to give off a little evil vibe. And those could be I think that could be a rare character that happens. For the most part, I don't even like the idea of someone detecting alignment. It's just stupid.
Yeah, whole class of spell can make the game anticlimactic.
A fun ruiner. That's what I'm going to take back the word stupid. It can be a fun ruiner. Mm-hmm. Mysteries are gone. Detect. I think that's one thing 13th Age did well, is they removed a lot of those crappy spells like detect invisibility and all these other things that can allow you, even at mid to high levels, to have mysteries that the characters can't solve by casting a spell. We know that's always a big deal. I cast, what's the one? Zone of Truth. Nobody gets to lie now in a 40-foot radius. Well, that's fun. That's going to make this mystery really exciting.
I think something like that would be more interesting if it wasn't a spell you just cast off the top of your head. It would be a ritual in which all parties have to voluntarily participate in. You participate in this ritual and you have skin in the game, so that if you do lie, something happens.
Yeah, I like the idea. That ritual could absolutely exist in our Mudstone world.
Yeah.
Because I could imagine the priests of Lohast or the clerics of Lohast being called to big meetings and saying, hey, we all want to sign off on the holy writ of truth. and it's a magical agreement that we all sign on. And whenever we sign the dotted line, the cleric says the Templar or the lawgiver makes his last pass of holy coolness, then everybody's bound, dude. If you lie, it's either going to show, or maybe you start sweating profusely. Everybody has maybe your nose starts bleeding, it could have some effect. So that could be done. But a lot of people you also could be like, well, we've known lawgivers that have, done this. And there could be stories of lawgivers that have been able to manipulate it in some way to where maybe someone was falsely imprisoned, or maybe there's magic that can protect you from that. Maybe there's powerful wizards that go, yeah, I can cast a spell that can protect you from that writ of truth. I can do it. So you can lie during that and there's no problem, but maybe there's for now, and maybe there's a serious price for that. He goes, but it does require a part of your soul. What do you mean? A part that you can't get back. In fact, I destroy it. Okay.
But then you're thinking,
what does that do to me?
Mean?
Right. And he goes, and the wizard be like, it's usually not good. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, that could be fun. And I like that, because the ritual, that would be a special thing that I think would be fun, even with the characters not knowing about it. That's a DM thing. Look, you want to do this? Sure. But this is a thing, the DM can create it, and you can explore that. And the player like, oh, that's kind of a cool power. I'm like, yeah, but it's not something you can do all the time, because you have all these rules built around it.
It could even be lost lore, lost knowledge. This is something from antiquity that folks used to be able to do.
Yep. Just like we talked about one time when playing the mud, we talked about wizards finding spell books and finding cool, magical, lost lore, right? Lets them do neat stuff. Yeah. Anything else about alignment you think you'd like to talk about or go into further?
Didn't we cover that story about from Wizards of the Coast and their new alignment?
We did. I think last time about the devils they're talking about most things. They're like, devils are going to be typically evil, angels are typically good. And that's not a horrible idea. Horrible for me. I mean, I could, but I have a hard time envisioning it just letting them be anything. And I don't know. It'd be a very special devil.
Right. I heard this on another podcast. I think putting the word typical next to, okay, and this is a traditional idea of heaven and hell with the game. It's more of a Western construct.
Yeah.
The farther away you get from it, then the more wishy-washy it gets, in my opinion. But hell in the abyss, kind of same thing, but whatever.
Whatever.
The environment there is evil. It's an evil place, and everyone there is evil. The people whose souls are consigned to that place are evil. You could get kidnapped and taken there,
right? And
then someone could rescue you. And maybe there are some unique beings there that aren't evil, but they're probably prisoners, right? It's not they're not, their soul isn't there consigned, but they're manifested being, their whole being.
Maybe their physical body is trapped there.
Yeah.
Their soul is not. Yeah.
Right. A la Supernatural TV show.
Right.
Both brothers ended up in hell at one point or another.
Multiple
times. And but they still affected them to their core. But the difference between that and a demon or a devil is that those beings, well, depending on, I don't know if old D&D specifically stated this, or if it just came across the lore over time with D&D, that devils and demons embody hell or in the abyss.
Yeah, I mean,
reflections of it.
Well, if you
put the word typical in front of them, that implies that there's some diversity amongst their kind that should not exist.
Again, I could picture a unique devil that is not, after many eons, has realized the flaw of evil. He's unique. He's able to think outside that. And he starts to back off, but he's smart. So he knows he can't he's not going to be like going good, but he might have gone a little native, and he finds himself working in the prime material plane a lot more often than going back to hell, because he's like, you know what? I kind of like it up here.
Like
And,
what's his name?
yeah, like
From
Crowley.
Crowley.
Yeah. He's like, I like it here. And you know what? I get it. I gotta kind of pay the piper every now and again, just so bosses don't get upset. But when the adventures run across him, he's like, dude, I ain't looking for trouble. I know you see these horns in this tail. I am literally not about this life. I mean, not really, and you and I don't have to have any kind of issues at all. I ain't looking to hurt nobody. I live above this inn. I pay my rent. Ask that lady. I don't check and see. She's under no compunction. Lawgiver, go check and see if her soul's intact. I'm not messing with that stuff, and on one hand, he's telling you can get him the zone of truth. And he's like, yeah, he's not doing that, but he's currently not doing that. And every once in a while he's got to do it. And you say, well, he's technically still evil. Yeah, but he's manageable. He's close to neutral,
Right. So
and
he would be a unique being within the lore of a particular campaign.
Me, yeah. I can't imagine there being, well, just typically, so there's maybe 2% devils that are neutral or good. Nah, that's crazy talk.
But even typical, there could be even bigger. I mean, there could be a very sizable group of those beings that are good or just not evil.
Well, just like the Elistray Drow, the ones that worship, the good Drow that worship the moon goddess or whatever.
Right.
A big chunk of them now in Forgotten Realms, which is kind of dumb, and they got crazier recently. But whatever. I mean, you do you in your own campaign, but to me, I like devils to be adversaries, demons to be adversaries, angels are on the side of good. But I do like the Planescape approach where just because you're good doesn't mean they're going to like you. Angels could be tough to deal with because they're probably morally absolute at all times.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're going to sneak around. No, you're not. We are not sneaking around, but we'll get caught. Oh, well, we will face the evil head on. But that's stupid, irrelevant. What you're saying is dastardly. We don't do that. And neither we. You'd be like, crap, I hate these freaking Solars.
Right.
You're going to tell a Solar no? No. Okay, we'll do it your way. I'm glad we got you on our side.
Definitely.
Yeah, so that's true.
Yeah, and that's the thing about this. When you have an alignment system like this, it's great for humanity.
Yes.
Because as humans represent a vast, broad spectrum of different points of view. And the other beings that you encounter in a campaign world, demons, angels, orcs, elephants, they have a very narrow band of or range of personality.
Yes. Same with elves and dwarves as well. I don't think they're now. I would be okay with a type this for like elves and dwarves. I'd be okay. Dwarves are almost always lawful. Elves are almost always good.
Right. Especially if you're going with the Tolkien tropes. Sure.
Yeah, because I mean, Thranduil was kind of an a-hole.
Which one?
Thranduil, Legolas's dad.
Oh, I don't know much about him.
Mirkwood, Elf King. He was kind of a douche. At least according to the movies, he seemed like kind of a bit of a jerkwad. But
was that in the Hobbit movies?
Yeah, where he had the scar from the dragon fire.
Yeah, I couldn't get past the first one, really.
Fair enough. They're not good. But
yeah.
But yeah, I think I'm with you. I think I'm with you on that.
Right.
I think for Mudsword, we got to think about it, but I definitely lean toward a simpler alignment or a clear alignment system. And I'm not big on I'm not big on like punishing characters like for experience points or levels, though I could punish a lawgiver for like doing something outside the law of his church, the order of his church, and he could lose access to miracles and become a priest, which would suck because the priests in the world are regular Joes who just believe. And he would be a regular priest. He might have a pretty decent fighting ability because he's still, he's a clear ability to fight, but he won't have access to miracles, which will be a big drop in power. Probably can't turn undead,
Yeah, and so he would be missing things until he atoned.
He would be a pretty weak fighter until he atoned, but I like the idea of redemption. But yeah.
So yeah, the other characters, just a character who's supposed to be a good guy. I think in earlier editions, did you lose a level?
I think you did. I think you went back to the midpoint of maybe that was a level drain from undead. You lost experience points depending on what you did sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and if you acted, well, here's the other thing. If a good guy, okay, this will only really be pertinent if your campaigns, if you're generally, we run heroes here, we don't run bad guys.
Right.
So if your character is either voluntarily or perhaps a magical effect or something makes them no longer good guys. Maybe they're bad guys now.
Right.
I've been turned evil. I've, went to the dark side. I've done everything voluntary. Now I'm a bad guy. Okay.
Right.
You don't have a character anymore.
Right. I definitely lean toward that. Just because of my games, I have no interest. I don't know. Some people listening probably like, oh, I've run really good evil campaigns, or I've run an evil guy that was, and again, I'll use the 9-line system, the lawful evil guy. I can be part of a team and I can do my own thing. And I've got a good friend. We both have a friend, Mr. Tony out there in Indiana. He would say that that's completely fine. And it could be. I'm not interested in that. I don't want that character that would do truly evil things really much anymore. It doesn't, their stories don't really interest me.
Right.
A self-interested character, maybe.
Right.
Maybe a megalomaniacal, somewhat megalomaniacal wizard that's 15th, 16th level is really feeling himself. He's casting spells like a total BA. And he's like, look, I'm all about this. I don't want to kill people, but I'll do what I got to do. And I'm going to summon a demon. And I'm going to extract that information we need, and then I'm going to spirit rack him and send him home. Why am I going to do it? Because I can.
Mm-hmm.
And you call it evil if you want to, Paladin, but I'm about to solve the problem. So get out of my way and let me work. And so that's about as close to evil as I'd want to get.
Right.
So a character that's like, man, he does some questionable stuff. And a Paladin might be like, I can't be a part of this. And he can walk away while he does all that.
Right.
But I mean, I don't think a Paladin had to be like, I will smite you because you're doing that. No, because he's talking about taking the Fiend and spirit racking, which is binding him in the basically excruciating pain to his very spirit, and then getting the information out of him, torturing that demon, then sending his butt back to the hells or the abyss or whatever.
Right.
So that kind of character is okay to me. And it's one that you could play a little to the dark side,
Right.
Volsivar's a little crazy. He kind of does what he has to do sometimes.
He does.
He's not evil. He's not evil, but sometimes he just is, he's very confident in his magic.
Mm-hmm.
Any other ideas on alignment?
No, I think we hit it pretty well.
Have we solved it? Should no one never talk about alignment again?
Yeah, it's solved.
I thought so. That's a good thing.
It is officially no longer controversial.
Yeah, I'm sure.
If listeners and viewers out there think we might have glossed over something, maybe we could treat certain parts of this a little more in depth, let us know.
Yeah, we might revisit this, have an alignment part 2.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's stuff we could talk about.
Yeah, probably not. I think we have covered it all.
True.
There's
I'm sure
absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
No stone unturned.
No.
Yeah.
All right.
But probably not.
Yeah, let's not say that though. Let's just believe the other one. All right, let's sneak into like it, love it, or leave it. Are you ready to go first? You and me go first.
You go first.
All right. Strahd von Zarevic. So it'd be like him, love him, or leave him.
Strahd is a great, I would say, love.
Great
He's a great villain.
Yeah.
Hate to be his adversary, but he's a great villain.
Yep.
No doubt about it.
Yep. This will be something you can truly talk to in the military.
Oh boy, that's a can of worms.
Mm-hmm. So many. I know there's a lot. That's huge, but can you like it, love it, or leave it?
I was in the Army. There are parts of it that I like. The service, the ideal of the soldier who's there to protect the innocent and defend the borders, defend the homeland type of thing. That's
right.
all good, and I love that.
Mm-hmm.
So because I'm not going to want to get political right now. Let's
Mhm.
leave it at that.
Okay. Okay. Using modules in role-playing games.
Like it.
Like it.
Like it. I think modules can provide nice some nice ideas. Some people like to just run them as is, and that's fine too. But I think the best thing a module provides is stuff for you to put in your campaign. So
Agree. Yeah. All right. Cool. What about you, bud?
that was 3.
Yeah. Strahd, the military, and module usage.
Yes.
Yes.
Cards.
I assume you mean playing cards.
Yeah, playing cards.
I like it. I used to, it wouldn't have been long ago, a year or two ago, I would have said leave it. I've been playing more cards the last few years with my wife and her sister and other people. And I love the camaraderie. I like card games. I don't, why it's only like, not love. It used to be hate because I just found it tedious, but I like it now. It's because I really don't care for too much strategy. Outside of role-playing games, even in role-playing games, you know me, I like games that are a little more chaotic, a little more random, and probably because I have no gift for strategy. But also it's just, I like games. I like when crazy crap happens. And if cards aren't too predictable, like phase 10, that's a game.
phase 10.
Yeah, I love that game because it's not totally chaotic, but you can be a great phase 10 player and you can get hosed pretty easily.
Sure, it's fairly random.
Pretty easily. Poker's a different story though. You play a 3-4 hour, you play 2 or 3 hours of poker with some guys that are good. I've done it. I lose my money. I don't like to bet money because I lose it. They win. There's certain guys that win. So there's definitely some skill. Doesn't mean I can't win a hand or two, but that's luck.
Right.
So I like it.
Okay. Technology.
Like it. Sometimes it gets like, to be honest with you, even when you started the Discord, started Discording with Legion of Myth and the others, part of me was like, oh, another thing I gotta do. And, and it's like, but it's good times. It's fun. There's good guys. And once I get into it and get comfortable moving around Discord, I got to figure this platform out. And once I do,
it's fun.
It's just like when COVID hit, and I was like, oh, I got to play online. Everybody wants to play. We haven't played. All right, I'll run Deadlands online. I got to learn 20, and I learned like this much.
Yeah.
So I would say like it. I wish I was more excited about it when new technology. It wears me out sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's a new thing. Crap. So probably just the old man in me. If I was young, no, I don't think so. I never really thought it was great. So like it.
Like it too.
Yeah.
Peanut butter.
Oh, you had to give me one. Love it. Man, peanut butter is one of, in my mind, I have an idea of 5 perfect foods. Peanut butter is on that list. If you want to know the rest, you're going to have to ask. But there are 5 perfect foods in this world, and peanut butter is one of them. Straight out of the jar, on stuff. I don't care. I've had a peanut butter hamburger, and it was fabulous.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure steak is in that list.
Oh, Joe about ready to slap me. He's going to reach through that screen and punch me right in my nose hole. I don't have steak on that list, though. I think it's an honorable mention.
Yeah, if I could punch you through this, there is no better food.
I know.
There's no more perfect food.
Joe loves the steak.
Is a steak.
Yeah, dude, it's good, dude.
You can get everything you need from a steak, food-wise, nutrition-wise, everything.
Really?
Your body has to adjust a little bit, but yes,
carbs.
There are a lot of people that do that.
You don't need carbs. You don't need carbs, do you?
You do not need carbs to survive. You need protein.
Right.
You must have protein.
Right. Well, I'll give you this. I wouldn't argue if someone put steak on their list of top 5 perfect foods, because it deserves an honorable mention, but it's not currently on my list.
Oh boy.
So it might get on there because there's one on there I can't eat anymore. So I may replace it with steak. And I've tried a gluten-free version of what I like, and it ain't that good. So, And by ain't that good, I mean, you would think it tastes like poop.
Yeah. I can be a little snobbish when all that comes when
Joe
it
is
comes down to that.
Bit of a food snob. Yes,
A
you
little
are.
bit, a little bit.
Little bit, yeah.
I can't afford to be a food snob.
No, but if you could, if Joe had all the money in the world, yeah, his house would be full of like just certain things.
Yeah.
Probably certain brands or certain like not all vegan, but all
No.
natural, all this and that.
Vegan?
No, not vegan. Joe might not would
Hey.
allow vegetables. He might not would allow vegetables in his house if he could do it.
That word
I
should
know.
not be uttered on this podcast.
It was a slip of the tongue, dude.
You're gonna have to lose a level on that. You have to atone.
Uh-huh.
You're gonna have to atone for even saying the word.
I need to atone for that line. That was an alignment loss. We're supposed to be lawful food. All right. Cabin Con moment. It's been a long time. Were you shocked when you saw that on there? Bringing a
I
Cabin Con?
was shocked. We have not talked about Cabin Con in a while, and there
I
are
think
probably listeners who have no idea what Cabin Con even
Correct.
is.
What did you tell them,
Or
Joe?
viewers, probably
Tell them what Cabin
viewers.
Con is. Tell them,
Cabin Con
listeners. Yeah.
is an annual get together for our homies here in Michigan. Sometimes folks out of state come.
Yep.
And it's a weekend starting on a Thursday, going through a Sunday, kind of like Gen Con and
That's
other
kinda how it's
conventions.
designed. Yep.
Yep. And it's us getting together playing games.
Yep. We've had as much as 25, 28 guys, and as little as, well, back in the day, we've had like 5 people. at one Cabin Con.
Yeah.
But we average the last 8-9 years, we averaged mid to high teens every Cabin Con. And this year, I think we're going to break 20. So we're having our business meeting. So this is going to be on it's going to be November the 13th, a Saturday. Meet at one of our buddies, our boy Patrick's house. What's the purpose of our business meeting? Well, the purpose is to really discuss what the next year's Cabin Con, which is going to be in May of 2022. It always is the first or second week in May. And we usually try to get it around Mother's Day. And so it's not on Mother's Day weekend. And we try to get together. And early on, the meeting was kind of useful because we were trying to figure out what Cabin Con should be, how we should organize. Should we have slots? We've tried from business meetings like, hey, we're all going to show up this date and we're just going to say, let's play whatever you got, up to like, you need to register for this time slot.
Like it was an actual convention.
Yeah, an actual con. And that was truly my doing, because I'm a super organized, super lawful guy. I love things lined up. And we've kind of found a sweet spot.
Yeah.
But I do like to meet for 2 reasons. We like to meet now because I like to discuss any suggested changes from last year's problems we've had. Get the guys excited. Hey, we're only 6 months away. It seems like forever, but it's kind of a chance to meet with all the guys again, as many as that can make it. Not all of them make it. We've had a bunch and we've had just a few. Yeah, that's kind of the purpose, and to get us fired up and think about things we want to do, especially if someone's like, hey, I got a really cool idea that might be a multi-day event. Does people think this would go over well? Do people would be interested in this? That's kind of a cool thing. That's kind of its purpose.
Yeah.
How else do you see it any other way, Joe? Or is that have I kind of hit?
Well, it's a cool excuse for us all to get together and eat good food.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
It used to be more of a business meeting, not business as in the business of Cabin Con.
Right.
But that usually doesn't take up as much time.
No.
It's usually, especially now that we've hit our, way of doing things, we can say, do we have any changes? Not really. All right, let's just do like we did last year.
And I usually that's usually when I give like the money due date, but I think that's been agreed upon the end of January pretty much the last several times.
Yeah.
So that's when the money's due. Everybody pays their portion.
Used to have a few subjects that always came up that we would talk about.
It probably will again.
Organization.
Yeah.
We've pretty much covered that. Max number of folks, because the place we're at does have a maximum capacity.
I think that's going to be a thing again, because I'm gonna list everybody I know of that's coming, and we're just going to start, because really last year we had a couple of new people, but I didn't see any significant issue. We didn't even take up the whole resort.
No.
So we have the room, as long as we don't go past the resort maximum. But I mean,
And
you
we
know, there
can't
is
bring people with campers or tents or anything like
no,
that.
there's no
That's not,
space, no
yeah.
space for that. I don't think that's an option.
No.
So, and honestly, I know we got one cabin con attendee that's talking about staying down the road because his family gets together that weekend and they have a reunion type thing. And he was like, "Hey, could I sleep there and then come over here?" I'm like, "Sure, you could." Because if you don't spend the night at cabin con, you don't pay. So you can
Right.
always come. We talk about we've had day trippers, folks that have shown up just for the day of the game, and that's cool. We don't
Yeah,
like
yeah.
say, "Hey, pay $7 because you came for the day." We don't do that kind of crap.
No.
I think the business so the business meeting is still useful. If nothing else, it's fun.
Well, there's also one subject that used to rear its ugly head every once in a while,
Yeah.
but we've squashed this bug so hard that I don't think anybody dares bring it up.
What's that?
And women at cabin con.
Oh yes, the women at cabin con.
This is a guy's retreat.
Yeah, it's
And
what it
retreated
is.
as such.
Yeah. Yeah, it's simply, forget it. It's not a thing. It's not happening. Look, we're not trying to be sexy about this. I mean, sexist, sorry. But yeah, it's a guy's retreat.
Yeah.
That's it. So
Right. It's a way for, and there are societies kind of poo-pooing the idea of guys getting together and doing guy things.
Hey Joe, ask me what I think of that.
What do you think of that, Randy?
I think that's a wonderful piece of crap that needs to go right in the toilet and flushed.
Right.
Shut up.
So I think, I mean, there were early on, there were different motivations, but I think over the years, they pretty much, we have solidified it as a guy retreat.
Yep.
Guys getting together, doing guy stuff.
Yep.
So that, I think that makes us better men.
I think it makes us better men. I think it lets us let our quote unquote hair down, to use a silly phrase. And because, if women are there, there's always something. And I don't mean like they start something. I'm just saying they're different. Women are different than men. I know people don't like that idea, but they are. And it can cause some, problems, I think. I don't think the women themselves cause the problem. It's that
it's more complicated.
More complicated. That's a good word.
That's a better word. It's
That's
a little
good
more
word.
complicated if
And-
we had both.
And we have women gamers in our group, wives, girlfriends, and women that are just gamers that would be, and we have women in our group that would game whether the hubby was there or not.
Right.
So that's cool. But a part of me feels a little bad for them because we got a handful that I think a handful of them would come to Cabin Con, would jump right in and be gaming with the dudes and be hardcore into it all weekend long. But it's just not, I don't know. It doesn't, I think we need that time as guys.
Yeah.
Just kind of, retool. And that's what it's become. So yeah, that's not squashed. I mean, it's just not a topic anymore. And then,
Right.
Someone brings it up, will be like, everybody, I mean, half people, that's not a thing.
Right.
I don't mean to be a butthole, but it's not an option. Move along.
Right.
So, but yeah, but it's meant to be a gas thing. It was what was the initial, was the intention, or it's become the thing that I'm comfortable with. So, and most people want it that way.
Right.
But yeah, so do you think it's still pretty useful though, right? I like it because it's fun to get with the guys, but I think it has a utility too, just so we can make sure we're all still thinking the same way about it.
Right.
And we've had some folks that have some issues with, because I got to make the dates by then. I got to have the dates. Well, the dates are actually already set.
Yeah,
It's almost the exact same dates as last year. It's one day off.
Oh, that's cool. But yeah, a lot of us have vacation to be able to organize.
Yep.
Finances to be able to organize.
Yep.
So it's good to have a 6 month out
Yep.
window to make sure everything's going to work. And it's still, life can happen. A couple cabin cons ago, Philip had a big problem, and you had a big problem.
I had a huge problem with that tree. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Crazy.
life still happens.
It does.
So it can throw a monkey wrench in things, but if you plan far enough out, those things can be minimized.
Yeah. And the Cabin Con guys that are listening, squirrel away $10 a week for the rest of this until January. That's, January is going to give you, if you start right now, today is October something, a couple weeks in October, 8 weeks counting November, December, and then 3-4 weeks, that's 11. You got plenty of money. You got the money and then some. I mean, you're usually looking at about $100 a piece. That's my rule of thumb. And I tell people, hey, I'll adjust as we get closer, but plan for 100 and be willing to wiggle.
Yeah, it's a great deal. $100 for a whole weekend.
Yeah,
away.
You can't touch it. So
yeah.
All right, cool. So we'll probably start doing a little more Cabin Con moments as we go. Maybe just since we haven't done that many since we got on YouTube, maybe we'll start having a few more, maybe revisit some ideas so folks can hear more about Cabin Con. All right. Well, it's time for a little shameless pluggery. So if you'd like to support our show, please help get the word out, tell your friends and your enemies, and check out our website, biggestgeekestpodcast.com. If you want to hit the support tab, that'd be cool. If not, just tell people. We'd love for you and your friends and enemies to listen. Check us out on Odyssey and YouTube. Rate us on any kind of podcatcher. I think iTunes, I don't know if other ones have ratings, but we appreciate all the ratings we can get. Our email, folks, is this one actually, thegeeks@biggestgeekestpodcast.com. If you have any comments about alignment, if you especially want to tell us, hey, you missed this chunk, you should go a little deeper into it, or what do you think of this? Shoot us an email, or better yet, call us. Give us your opinion on alignment. I would love to hear that next time. And then check out the podcast and various YouTube channels we have posted in the outline. Anything else, Joe?
Just for those who aren't aware, Anchor, the Anchor app, you can through that you can contact the podcast via phone. You won't talk to somebody, you'll just leave a message. It's only a minute.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be pretty succinct, or you can leave multiple messages if you're long-winded like some of our callers.
Yeah, and that's cool.
So
we like them.
Yes.
Yeah.
So please utilize that. Maybe I should put a link to that in our
I know if you're an iTunes user like me, you got a button you can push and do your thing, talk to them. All right. Is that it, you think?
I think that's it.
Cool. Well, this is Randy.
And this is Joe.
And remember, if you can't be big like us, then be geeks like us.